Hello, Wise Guys family. Tony Two Smokes here, and today what are we doing? We're doing beef ribs. We're doing them two ways. One way is just with a standard smoke. The second way is with black truffle butter and black truffle mustard. Also, to go with that, we have jalapeno poppers stuffed with pimento cheese, wrapped with bacon, covered with a maple bacon glaze. Guys, can't wait to get started. Let's go. All right, guys, so we're gonna get started. We're just gonna open up these beef ribs here. So as you can see, they're good sized beef ribs here. They're about 7 pounds per one, so these are pretty good. What we're gonna next do is just kind of dry off because we're gonna put some seasoning on them and we want it to stick and the binder to stick. As you can see, you got the ribs here. 1, 2, 3 is how it goes. And you got all the meat. So we're gonna just get these ready for the smoker, put some good seasoning on them. We're gonna actually trim off a little bit of the fat on a couple pieces, as you'll see, because you don't need all the big pieces like this here. It's just not flavorful. It's not gonna do us any good anyway. So make sure it's all pretty good. We're gonna do them two different ways. One is we have a fantastic seasoning here by Nate Slynn. It's his personal rub. Also, we're gonna use some mustard to bind it for the first two. For the second two is gonna be my special seasoning, which is my sister's seasoning we've talked about. A little black pepper, garlic, the usual stuff. And we're using black truffle mustard. Now, why are we doing that? Well, you wanna put a binder down because that keeps the seasoning from, leaving the meat and keeps it there. But we're using black truffle mustard because why? Well, we have a surprise for you of how we're gonna finish one set of beef. We're not telling you now because I just don't want to. So we're gonna just put the binder on now. And again, you can actually see the black truffle within this. So of how it's fantastic. Nice specialty mustard. We actually got in Mystic, Connecticut. We go there every year with our family. We hang out, we love the aquarium. They have great shops over there. So that's really where we get a lot of this stuff. All right, so as you guys can see, we're actually putting this binder or this mustard, all over the ribs. You want it covered. And the reason you want it covered is think of glue. If you're gluing two pieces of paper together, the more glue you have on the papers in between, the better it's gonna stick. And this is exactly what we want for the rub. So when we put the rub on next, you're gonna see that we need it to really stick because this is where the flavor is coming from. And that's why it's always good to have gloves because you need everything. Even the back here, always put a little bit in the back where the skin is because there is some flavor that gets through there. And again, this is black truffle mustard. You can use oil. Some people prefer to use olive oil. That's fine too. It's just something that's gonna be the binder. I always like mustard for a couple reasons. One is, as you can see, you can tell where I've hit it with mustard and where I haven't. When you use olive oil, it's great, but sometimes it's so clear, you can't tell what you did and what you didn't. So I like it to be foolproof. All right, so step one is all set. We have the binder. Step two is we're gonna season. Now remember, these two here, we're gonna season with the one rub, and then these two here, it's Nate Slynn's rub. So he's got the second half. So we'll do his first. And again, you wanna be liberal with this. This is where the flavor is, pat it down. And now also, the reason we put the mustard and the binder on the side is so we can put all of the meat and get it all covered. Because again, you don't want to leave anything untouched because this is where the flavor is going to come from, ladies and gentlemen. And this rub is local out of Miller's Crossing in Cranston. So again, it's fantastic. I recommend you go down there, you get some. Now we're going to do just here, again, it's just the basic seasoning that we have. Salt, pepper, garlic, some other things here. You cannot put too much seasoning on this. When it gets to the smoker, don't worry about it. If you think you're over seasoning it, you're probably not. Add some more, and you can never ever under season. All right, so now we just finished step two. We'll let them sit about 10-15 minutes while the smoker comes up to temperature. It's going to be at 275, and so you're going to see that in a couple minutes. So don't go away. We'll be right back. All right, so now we're here at our smoker, the Yoda smoker. Her nickname's Olivia for some people. We're going to call it Scallywag, and the reason being is the seasoning that we're using from Nate Slynn is called Scallywag. So let's keep with the theme. All right, so we're just gonna take our ribs, and again, as you do that, as you see the skin side down always. Always want skin side down. And you want to leave about an inch or so in between them because you really want the airflow to come through. So now we'll leave this on. We're going to check in 2 hours, see what the temperature is. And then after that, once the bark gets to be kind of set, we're going to start spritzing it and putting some liquid in it to keep it moist. We have a couple things for that. That's a special thing for you. So see you guys in about 2 hours. All right, so let's get started. We have some fresh homegrown jalapenos. Some people will love to make fun of the name and call them jalapenos, but you know. So all we're gonna do, as you see, we're gonna trim, take the caps off, and then you see the inside. We're actually gonna just core them out here because that's where the heat is, and a lot of people don't like heat. I personally don't mind it, but we're gonna trim all those in a second. When you're cutting, you never wanna have your fingers out. They wanna be in. So you can see here, when you put them in, you use this part of your fingers as a guide, so you never cut your fingers. So you put it down here where you want it, guide down. So that way you leave with all of your digits, which is a good thing. So as you can see, all the seeds come out, there is room. So you can see in there that as we do that, you just want to make room for the filling. And you want to get the seeds out. You can leave some seeds in if you like it hot. As you know, the membrane here, this is where the heat is for a pepper, right there, and then all these seeds. So even though it could be a jalapeno, which is hot, you can actually, when you take all the seeds out, it's probably cuts the heat by about 60–70%, which is what we're looking for, because these are gonna be open to everyone as a little snack later, and everyone has a different heat level, tolerance level. Step one, our peppers are clean and ready to go. Step two is we're gonna be using bacon. Why bacon? Well, that's an easy question to answer, because bacon makes everything taste better. So now what we're gonna do is here, we have the bacon, which we're gonna wrap the hot peppers in, but we actually have maple bacon onion jam, okay? So we're gonna utilize this. We're trying to keep all the flavors together, so we're gonna utilize that with the bacon, because we're gonna wrap the peppers in it, but we wanna make sure that the wrap sticks. So in that piece, we're gonna have the bacon with a layer of the jam. So when we do smoking of other meats, we'll use mustard as a binder or olive oil as a binder. In this case, we're using the jam as a binder, so it's the same thought process. Step three is gonna be our stuffing. So we have pimento cheese that we're gonna stuff the peppers with. Now, I'm pretty good, but trying to put them in here without making a mess is not really gonna be an easy task. So if you're a baker, you probably have a piping bag at home, you have the tips and all of that stuff. I'm not really a baker per se, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our own piping bag. Once you have it all in the bag, just like normal, you wanna pull the corner out here, which you can see. I'm just gonna trim it here, just enough. So now we have our own little piping bag. Just tighten it here and seal the bag. And then you grab it, just like you would pipe anything else. You can twist it is a good method just to keep it tight. And then as you can see, you just squeeze it in and then it's full. See? And do that to all of them. They're all set there. Put the bag aside for later. So let's get our first one done. And there will be some leftover of this jam too, which you could always add later as like a dipping or a glaze on it as well. But you just want to just put it on here to help the bind. As we're adding the jam to the bacon, you want to be liberal with that, because again, you want all the bacon to stick, but we're adding layers of flavor upon layers of flavor. So you want to make sure you have enough on there for it to stick, but to have the flavor come through. Again, it's like seasoning. You can never have too much. Now, as we wrap them, I like to just kind of wrap it and cover the top, as you'll see here, because that's gonna help keep the cheese in. And then you just kind of roll it down here, as you can see. And then you're gonna roll it back because we make sure we have extra. So it's kind of like a nice little package, and we have our cast iron pan here that we're gonna put it in. Again, same thing. You're gonna open it up because you wanna make sure where the pimento cheese is on the open side of the pepper, that you want it not to go anywhere. You wanna make sure that when this crisps up, that none of the flavor is left in the pepper. When I put them in, I'm putting the pepper with the open side to the outside of the pan, just to help make sure the bacon stays. And we're gonna do a circle. All right, so now that we have it there, we did have an extra piece of bacon. So as you can see, we did put it in the pan because why waste it? We are gonna be heading over to the smoker in a couple minutes. It's just about up to temperature, and we're gonna throw them on. See you in a couple minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here. As you can see, we got the peppers ready to go in the pan. We're gonna put them on our smoker. It's up to temp. We're gonna come back and check them in about an hour and a half, and they should be close. And then we're gonna spin them a little bit to get good residual heat and a good all-around temperature. See you in about an hour and a half. All right, guys, we're back here. It's about 2 hours. We're gonna get our trusty thermometer, and we're gonna just check the temps of where we're at with these ribs. Look at that. How awesome they look. So we're temping about 165 to 172 right now. 166. Oh my gosh, 150. So these guys are doing great. Now the bark, as you can see, is kind of there. We're gonna start basting them with beef tallow. Now you might ask, what is beef tallow? Well, we take the fat from the beef that we've trimmed, and what we do is we put it in a pan and we boil it. Now as we boil it, it's gonna render down to this clear consistency that you see. Then what we do then is we strain it through cheesecloth. We take out all the bits in like the non-good stuff, and then you let it cool. Wanna make sure we get a lot of the juice and moisture in here. All right, we're gonna put this back on probably for another half an hour or so, and then we're gonna look at it and we're gonna pull them off and wrap them because they're almost at temperature. All right, see you guys about a half an hour. All right, so we're back at the smoker. Our peppers are done, so we're gonna pull them off and take them to the table to show you guys. All right, so we're here back at the table. We're gonna just grab these out. As you can see, the cheese is just coming right out of them. So we're gonna move it to this pan because just like anything else, when you smoke, it needs to set. You need to cool it down a little bit. But as you can see, it's not getting much better than this for a snack. And all the cheese stayed in because we wrapped them that specific way. So we're just gonna take it easy, put them in here. Oh, wow. You guys should be here. It's fantastic. Look at this perfectly wrapped package of goodness. They're just gonna sit there and just cool. We're gonna cover them with foil and let them just cool down a little bit. They're gonna be way too hot to eat right now. So we're gonna do that, and we'll be back in a minute. We're back at the grill. We're gonna start pulling the ribs off. Now what we're gonna do is, you watch me, we got the butcher's paper here. Now, you can use aluminum foil, but butcher's paper is preferred because you wanna keep the moist in. So we're gonna just put this down here, and then what we're gonna start with, before we put the ribs in, is a little bit of the beef tallow, because you wanna wet the paper. This is gonna help keep it moist. It can happen with aluminum foil, but it just does a better job here with the ribs. First one off, you wanna go face down here, and then just wrap it. You wanna give a good seal. And again, we're gonna keep the bone side is still gonna be down to keep them warm, okay? The next one though, we're gonna add a little bit of beef tallow, but we're gonna switch it up a little bit because we have homemade, right here, black truffle compound butter. So we're gonna add some of this because this is gonna help keep the moisture in it. And again, this is the flavor profile for these ribs. So here, make sure you get it all nice and good. Pull this forward. again, we're just wrapping these here. Keep it nice and moist. Now they're gonna stay back on probably for another hour to an hour and a half as they come up to temperature and take the moisture on. So we'll see in about an hour and a half. All right, we're here at the smoker. We're gonna test them. We think it's time for them to come off. We're showing 200, 201. So these are ready to come off. Now we did use hickory pellets, so that's what we're smoking with. But we're gonna pull them off here so we can then wrap them to let them sit. All right, we'll see you at the table. All right, so we're back at the table. The left side here, which is your right side, is the ones that we did with Nate Slin's rub. To the right is the ones we did with the black truffle. So let's unwrap them now. See what they look like. Oh, you're gonna wanna see this. Hold on a second. You guys can't miss this. Look at that. All right, now we're gonna unwrap the second one. Here. The butcher's paper, as you can see, really kept these ribs nice and moist. Actually, look at this, so moist. The bones coming off. I don't know if you guys can see that here on the back. That's how moist it is. So when you wrap it, it makes all the sense to use butcher's paper. So let's get this here. Now we're gonna do the ones that we did the black truffle with. As you can see, look at how gorgeous this looks. It's just the front, you can see the sides. It's picture perfect. All right, now we have the last rack, which again is with the black truffle. And again, you just, all the way around, it's just, can't beat the meat. All right, so now for the next step, we've unwrapped them. Now they gotta sit for about 2 hours. But what we're gonna do, again, we have the homemade tallow. We're gonna add some, because we want these to stay really moist, right? So we have this on this side here. It'll be really good. Now the left side, we actually have some of the homemade truffle butter still. So we're gonna put this on this side here so this can melt in to all the cracks in the nooks and crannies, kind of like a good English muffin. You want it all over the place because that's where the flavor is. And we're gonna let this just kind of melt in. We're gonna cover these and let them sit. And then we'll be back in a couple hours once they sit fully rested. And the reason you rest it is so the juices can get back into the meat. If we cut it, the juice is gonna run out and they're gonna be dry. And we don't want dry meat. So anyway, thank you. We'll see you in a few hours. All right, so now you can see that our meat has rested. So we're gonna now cut them and show you guys and plate it, show you what it looks like. So now we're gonna cut these rack of ribs. This is with the scallywag from Nate Slin. So we're gonna cut that. Let me show you this first one. Look at that. Right here, you can see how juice, as you touch, look at all the juice. That's why you let it rest. So that's all the flavor. See that coming out? That's what you wanna see. Okay, next, we're gonna cut the other rack, which was done with the black truffle butter and the black truffle mustard. And again, as you pull this out, you see the same thing. It's just goodness. It's just dripping. Fantastic. We got our peppers that we did, remember? The peppers were jalapeno peppers, stuffed with pimento cheese, wrapped with bacon, but on the bacon we put maple bacon onion jam to make sure everything stayed together. And as you can see, it has. Again, here's the finished product. All right, guys, now the best part of the day, right? Why do we smoke? Because we get to eat. So this is the best part. I'm gonna try the first one here. This one has the rub that we did, the scallywag rub. You can taste the flavors and the smoke, a little sweet, little heat. Fantastic. I think it'll be even great on chicken, but you gotta try that. Now, what I've been waiting for is a black truffle. Let's go. Wow. So if you like black truffle, it has just enough. It's not overpowering because you can really overdo it with truffle, but it's the perfect balance. It brings the flavor of the meat. You just You can't beat it. It's fantastic. Now let's try this popper. Again, fantastic. A little bit of heat, but you can taste the sweetness of the bacon, of the jam, and a little heat in the back end is fantastic. You got to come out and try it. Now, if you guys will listen to our podcast, we put out a contest in our podcast last week and said, whoever can get to us and tell us what the correct secret ingredient is that I'm using is going to get something. Now, the winner is Donna Curry. She, got to me first. We had more than a plethora of people responding. Some were good, some were interesting, and we can share them at a later date. But she had it spot on, black truffles. So Donna, congratulations, you're gonna win something. It's already on order. I will hand deliver it to you and we'll chat when we can. All right, Donna, congratulations. Everyone else, make sure you remember to like, share, and subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss an episode or a chance to win some cool Wise Guy swag. Thanks again, Tony Two Smokes, and listen, you gotta tune in. You don't know what I'm gonna smoke next. We do, you don't. We'll let you know soon.